So ever since Jared Vanderbilt came back, along with the other missing pieces, one, we are just about healthy, right? We're still missing Gabe Vincent, but we got pretty much everyone else back. And you've seen the vast improvement in the Lakers just defensively, right? Jared Vanderbilt, even in a limited role, you've seen and felt the impact with this Lakers roster, with this Lakers team. When he comes in, he's immediately impacting the game. He's rebounding, he's hustling, his energy, his size, his length, his athleticism out on the perimeter. You have Cam Reddish out there putting in the work. Then he goes to rest on the bench. And before Jared Vanderbilt, you didn't have anybody to match that level of intensity, that level of defense, that level of impact and hustle. Well, Jared Vanderbilt comes in and he matches that seamlessly. And even in a limited role, as he tries to get his legs underneath him going into the inevitable season, as well as hopefully healthy in time for the playoffs, and then he can kind of step into a bigger role defending the more elite guys. Not that Cam Reddish hasn't done a fantastic job thus far, but it's so different when you have these two. And then even in spots where, you're playing a Phoenix Suns team or something, where you have a Kevin Durant and a Devin Booker, it's like you could throw Cam Reddish and Jared Vanderbilt, one on Devin Booker, one on Kevin Durant. It's just, there's very few teams that have this level of defensive sizable wings. You saw what they were both able to do to Tyrese Halliburton. The Lakers as a whole were able to keep them the highest, historically great offense, averaging like 127, 128 points a game. We kept them to 109 points. This defense is just next level. But again, we are without our best defensive guard in Gabe Vincent. Well, we got news that it looks like Gabe Vincent is hopeful for a return next week against the Knicks. So it would be next Monday on the Knicks game, which would be December 18th. It looks like Gabe Vincent is going to potentially return. It's not been 100% confirmed. Like I mentioned, the report says hopeful Gabe Vincent will return from injury within the next week. Now, if he doesn't return for the Knicks game, I do imagine it would be relatively soon, right around the corner. So based on the reports, the Los Angeles Lakers are reportedly hopeful guard Gabe Vincent will return from injury within the next week. Shams of The Athletic reported Vincent is loosely targeting December 18th's game against the New York Knicks to come back from his right knee injury. Now, as I mentioned, this would be huge, right? Because right now, our perimeter defense, our wing depth, our size has been a real problem. But we don't have that point of attack guard. We don't have that guard like we had with Dennis Schroeder that can just be that pest, guard the length of the court, really just put pressure on whichever ball handler is there. Also, if you had a guy like a Gabe Vincent and we're playing a team such as, let's say, a Milwaukee Bucks, right? Well, now you have, you could put Gabe Vincent on a Damian Lillard. You could put Cam Reddish on a Giannis or a Chris Middleton, and then Jared Vanderbilt on the either. Or, you're playing, again, we'll use the Phoenix Suns, right? So you could put, say, Gabe Vincent on Bradley Beal when they're fully healthy, Cam Reddish on Devin Booker, and then Jared Vanderbilt on Kevin Durant. Just gives you another defensive body that can match up and just provide that pressure. Also, Gabe Vincent being slotted alongside of Jared Vanderbilt off the bench, or Cam Reddish, or even on nights that maybe D'Lo doesn't start or something, or he's just has a night off or whatever, you could have a Gabe Vincent fill in that slot and just really ramp up defensively. Now, Gabe Vincent isn't a great playmaker. He is capable of finding the open man, right? He could hit the open man, but he's not some elite great playmaker. He's closer to like a George Hill, an Avery Bradley, a Norris Cole, Mario Chalmers type guy, more of a 3-and-D style guard, which historically have always been really good next to a LeBron James. The problem is he hasn't shot very well. So far this season, again, and we don't have this insane sample size with him. He took 14 a day, so he's 1 of 14 from 3-point range, which isn't great. isn't great at all. So he's averaging 3.5 three-point attempts per game, and right now he's averaging a .071. So he's not even averaging 1% from three-point range. Now, I don't expect that to be a thing. Like I mentioned, he has 4 games in which he has played, and in those 4 games, he averaged 6 points, 3 assists, 1 rebound, and 1.5 steals, which is really good. So in 4 games, he was giving us 1.5 steals. The Lakers are already excellent in the steal and blocks department. So adding a guy like a Gabe Vincent that can come in and provide that, I think would just help further the Lakers defense even more. A guy that has, the switchability. Doesn't have like this great size, but he is very pesty. He is a guy that is sturdy, solid. He can, if he has to, switch on some of the bigger defenders. Not like, you're not switching him on like a Jokic or an Aaron Gordon or something, or ideally you're not. But, if like he was to switch, like say you're playing the Warriors and he switches on to like a Klay Thompson, I think you'd be fine. You could live with Gabe Vincent in that stretch. He would immediately be our best defensive guard, right? Or at least point guard type guy. D'Lo has been actually very good defensively this year. He's not an elite or great defender, but he's been much better than he has in any year that he's played thus far. But Gabe Vincent is just more proven in that regard. He's closer to a Dennis Schroeder. Now, I know a lot of people wish that the Lakers had kept Dennis Schroeder even over Gabe Vincent, but one of the things that I like about Gabe Vincent is he's going to be a more consistent guy, right? Like Dennis Schroeder, with his offense at least, it was really hot and cold, right? Like Dennis Schroeder would have a game where he gave you 20 and is hitting clutch shots and hitting big shots down the stretch and just looks like why isn't this guy starting? And then the next 2 games he'd go like 2 of 12 and you're like, oh, that's why, right? The defense was never in question. He always brought it defensively, but just the offensive output, and same thing, he's not a great playmaker, right? He can kind of get tunnel vision at times. He's more of just drive and kick type guy. Gabe Vincent, I don't think the upside with Gabe Vincent is as high as it is with a Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder's upside is definitely higher, but I do think Gabe Vincent will fill the role that the Lakers need more consistently, right? I don't expect him to shoot 1% from three-point range, right? Like, you look at the previous years. Last year, he didn't have a great three-point shooting year. He only shot 33.5%. But the previous year before that, on just under 5 attempts per game, he shot 37%. So if he can get closer to that, but this is also a guy that really elevates come playoff time, right? So if you look at his playoff, so like I said, last year he shot 33.4%, 33.5% from three-point range. But in the playoffs, on 6 attempts as opposed to 5 attempts, so an extra attempt per game, he shot 38%, 37.8% to be exact. So again, this is a guy that in the playoffs has proven time and time again to actually elevate and play better, right? Even as everything went up for him. So like last year with Miami, he averaged 9 points, 1 steal, 2.5 assists, and 2 rebounds per game. But in the playoffs last year, he averaged 12.7 points, so almost 13 points per game, still 1 steal, 3.5 assists, and then 1.4 rebounds, right? So he really, and he was huge for them, right? Hitting huge shots, clutch shots, big shots down the stretch. That is something that he could provide for the Lakers, right? The Lakers signed him with a lot of expectations and a lot of hope that he would impact on both sides of the basketball. Be a guy that can knock down the open shot, a guy that could create a little bit, guy that could get to the basket and apply a little bit of rim pressure, not to the sense and level of Dennis Schroeder, but still a guy that could penetrate, get to the basket, but more so a guy that could just be another defensive anchor for this team. Right? I mean, with him, you can now, you could go with an all defensive lineup if you wanted to and have something like a Gabe Vincent. Like if you just needed to get a stop or something, right? You could do like a Gabe Vincent, Cam Reddish, Jared Vanderbilt, or Taurean Prince if you wanted to like give LeBron, a stretch off, or if he was out a game or something like that, you go like Gabe Vincent, Taurean Prince, Jared Vanderbilt, Cam Reddish, and Anthony Davis, and now you basically are switchable 1 through 5 essentially. You could also go with like a Max Christie, like if you wanted to go like more traditional, you could go Gabe Vincent, Max Christie, Jared Vanderbilt, or Cam Reddish, and then Jared Vanderbilt or Cam Reddish on the other side, and then Anthony Davis. Right? Again, if you were like, okay, let's just get our best defensive unit out there for a 5-minute sequence or something, and I think that they could absolutely just get after it. I mean, you'd have 5 guys that could all be point of attack guys. It'll be great just because we'll finally be whole, and we can start putting our best foot forward, and we can start putting ourselves in a position to really just only get better, build that chemistry, build that team relationship, and then build that momentum after winning the in-season tournament, and then now going back to reality in the regular season. I just think, however you slice it, this is huge for the Lakers, and this is something that I think is very important. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think Gabe Vincent's going to have a big impact? Do you think he'll have a minimal one? Do you think, let's wait and see? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below.